I'm home. Didn't expect to be here, and I'm sorry for the long gap in Vlogmas videos, but after all of the testing that we did last week at the cancer center, we weren't able to start with chemo just yet. So we're back home for another few weeks, then we're gonna redo the testing and try again. Bright side is that means we're home for the holidays, which is great, and I'm back doing Vlogmas. So I'm happy about that, and I think you guys are really going to like this video. I know many of you want to achieve financial freedom through real estate investing, and you've watched my journey of doing that over the last 3 years. But what happened for me is not gonna be the same for you. The market has drastically changed since 2020, and I think it's unfair if I pretended like it hadn't and just gave you the same advice to follow as what worked for me then. So I decided to put myself in your shoes, and I created a 5-step strategy that I would take if I was starting my investing journey today. And these 5 steps all need to build on one another. So like, don't do step 4 without doing step 1, and don't stop at step 3 because then you won't fully execute the strategy. So hang around to the end of the video and then let me know if you think this strategy is going to help you invest in today's market. The first step is to choose a high value skill and use it to serve investors that are still in the game. I started out like most people looking for my first deal, but if I had to do it today, I wouldn't focus on finding a deal. I would focus on building a skill. I would actually think about it as if I was starting a real estate business instead of searching right away for a real estate deal. And there's 2 reasons for this. One is that it might be really light. Hold on. See, I hope y'all like Vlogmas. I hope y'all like Vlogmas because you get to see more of the behind the scenes. There we go. Now we're back to our pretty colors. So, first reason, it might be the case that right now is not a good time for you personally to invest. I'm not saying that it's not a good time to invest in real estate. I'm saying that you personally, it might not be a good time. And I realize that the gurus out there may not want me to say that, but it's true. If you have scraped together a small amount of money and saved it up and want to put it towards your first deal, it is possible that holding on to that savings and using it at a time when the market is more beginner friendly might be the better option for you. But just because it's not a good time for you to invest doesn't mean it's not a good time for you to go into businesses. Businesses don't rely on your personal ability to invest, but on your ability to serve customers. And trust me, although beginners might be slowing down, there are still large groups of intermediate and advanced investors in every market that are still investing and that could be the perfect customers for you. The second thing I would think about is what are those high value skills that you can work on developing for those advanced investors until you have the cash, the confidence, and the market is ready for you to get into your first deal. Some of the things that I would think about are offering a service where I run the numbers and get comps for investors. This is something I actually paid for when I started out, because there was a girl in our local Facebook group who was very involved and was always answering questions. And she posted one day that if anybody needed help running their numbers, she would send them a full report for $50. She was also a realtor, so she could run official comps using the MLS for people, and she would run basically investor-based numbers as well. I don't know how many $50 she got, but she definitely got mine. And it was a service that was super, super useful for me if I wasn't sure about my numbers or if I was short on time. Other things that you could do are host showings for investors, manage contractors, you can drive for dollars for them, you can cold call, you can go down to the county office and pull physical property records that people aren't able to access online. And so they end up just never going to get them. There's a lot of things that you can do that will get you networking, that will get you money, and will get you involved in learning about real estate in a business sense before you actually put your money into a deal and start investing. Also, I've seen you guys doing a little bit of arguing in the comments, and the truth is I started this channel to document my journey to financial freedom. And the first stage of that was investing in real estate to create passive income. And my next stage is building businesses and doing even bigger deals to create massive income. But I don't want that to mean I leave those of you who are still at the start of your journey behind. So here's my plan. My podcast channel is called Listen In with Lili Invest. That's gonna be all about real estate investing. In fact, I just released a brand new episode today where I help a new wholesaler named Saul analyze a deal that he just put under contract for $275,000.
I'm looking to make at least $50,000 off it.
The way you're running your numbers is confusing me. but he thinks he has an ARV of $935,000. We walk through the comps and the rehab budget together, and I'm really, really honest with him. So for all of you who are locked in on real estate and real estate only, be sure to go check out that episode with Saul and subscribe to that channel. On the other hand, this main channel will continue to document my journey. And if you love hearing about all the different ways you can achieve financial freedom and multiple income streams, and you connect with me and want to follow me along on the ups and downs of my business and real estate journey and all of that good stuff, that's the type of content that you'll find here on the main channel. Whether you prefer either of those or both of those, I love and appreciate you guys. And I not only want to bring you along on my journey, but I want to help you with yours as well. Okay. Back to the 5-step plan. The second thing I would do is to learn about how seller financing works. Interest rates are so high and sellers are reluctant to sell their properties if they know that they're going to need to go out and get another mortgage and start making a much higher payment because of the higher interest rates. It also means that if you're looking to buy a property and there's a higher interest rate, then that's going to mean a higher monthly payment, and that's going to lower your cash flow than if you bought that same property at the same price, but with a lower interest rate. Seller financing is an opportunity to not have the bank set the interest rate, but to have yourself and the seller set the interest rate. And it can often be a win-win because the seller gets to hold the note and get paid monthly because they're basically being the bank, and you get to potentially negotiate a deal that you wouldn't be able to get if you went through the traditional means of traditional banks. The big caveat with seller financing is that you can really only do it if the homeowner no longer has a mortgage on the property, or if you're going to pay off the mortgage with your down payment. So it's not something that a ton of people do, but it's definitely something that I'm getting more and more interested in, especially as interest rates at this time are really high. The next step is that you cannot allow yourself to get lost in the planning phase of the first 2 steps. This is the time to take action, and to do that, I want you to start tracking your time. I started using a platform recently called Rise, and it's been a complete game changer in my productivity. I'll show you some examples of what it looks like in a moment, but the reason that tracking is so important is because not taking action is what keeps 99% of new investors from actually getting in the game. And we use the term analysis paralysis to define that, and it's usually caused by one of 2 things. Either you don't know what to do, or you're not doing what you need to do when you need to do it. The first 2 steps should take care of not knowing what to do. And this is the part where we really have to focus on you actually doing it. And you got to get really specific in your planning. Don't say I'll analyze 10 deals this week. Say I'll analyze 2 deals per day on my lunch break from 12 to 1:30. And then we're going to track it. It's very easy to think we're doing a lot of work or think that we don't have the time when we actually do. And so by looking at the screen time on my phone, which can sometimes be embarrassing, and then also using Rise to track everything that I'm doing on my laptop, I've been able to use my time much, much more wisely. And I'll put a link to Rise in the description of this video, but let me show you how it's helped me in the last couple of weeks. So the first thing that I use Rise for is just to track my daily activities. So you can see over here, I've worked 5 hours and 14 minutes today, which is 87% of the 6-hour workday that I have set. And you can see that it started at 7:30. I've had some meetings and different things going on, but this is a breakdown of my workday. Some of the things that are really cool is that it shows you how much time you're spending in focus or deep work. It shows you how much time you're spending in meetings, how much time you're taking breaks or doing other stuff. I'm not even sure where this other came from because most days other is super low, but you can see the different days and the different work that I've been doing. The other super cool part is that it logs your categories. And so this is where you get to say, if I'm on PROPSTREAM, count that as analyzing deals time. And then anytime you're on your laptop, it'll be tracking and you'll see how much time did I actually spend analyzing deals this week. You can look at everything on a daily view. You can look at things on a daily view, or you can look at them on a weekly view. If I look at my last week, when we were traveling and trying to figure out things from going to the hospital and getting back here, you can see that certain days like Monday and Wednesday, I didn't get much done. And so I decided to put a couple extra hours in over the weekend, and I ended up having a 25-hour work week. You can see having this view where I can see what categories I'm working on and for how long has kept me much more focused because I want to make sure that my time is going to the right places. And it's the same thing that you need to do when you're trying to fit time in to work on your real estate goals. Once you're taking action and tracking that time, step 4 is to be very strategic about when you're choosing your strategy. I'll admit that when I chose to start with wholesaling, It was because I thought it was the lowest risk way to make my first 10K in real estate. And then when I started house hacking, it's because I needed a place to live and interest rates were pretty low. But the situation is different now. If you were interested in Airbnbs, you're going to want to be really careful and research what's going on with cities banning them and owners having trouble keeping them filled. You've got to adjust with the market. For example, if you're trying to burr a deal and you can't make the numbers work because of the high interest rate that you would get on a refinance, rather than completely renovating that property and trying to get all of your money back out through the burr, you might instead want to do something called a wholesale. And that's kind of the mix between wholesaling and then the retail market, so wholesale. And that's where you renovate the property just a bit and then you put it on the market at a lower price point than if you had done a full-blown renovation. That'll save you money, but it also allows a homeowner to come in and they can actually afford it and maybe do the rest of the upgrades themselves or pay for them over time. Now, obviously, if there's things about the property that are not in livable condition, then you can't sell it to a homeowner then. But getting a property up to livable standard doesn't mean that you have to rip out all the countertops and put granite in and go top of the line and try to sell it for top dollar. At this point in the market, it might be good enough just to get it into the hands of a homeowner. You spend less and then you get to sell the deal as well. And here's potentially the most important step to bring this entire strategy together is you've got to be clever about the type of property you go after. In your market, you need to research and figure out what properties are still selling, and then you need to go after those property types. Most people just go after the cheapest properties when they're starting out because it seems the easiest. But what if the active part of your market is actually in properties between $300,000 and $400,000? Those might be more advanced investors who are still investing, and if you only focus on properties that are $100,000 that beginners want to buy, you might be missing out. It also goes for property type, like multifamily or big or small single family or even mobile homes. You got to know your market. And if you're struggling to do that market research, I'll put a link to a free training I did with PROPSTREAM where they show you how you can even just log in with your free trial and do a complete deep dive into your market so that you can apply this strategy and make sure that what you're doing is actually going to work in 2024. And like I said earlier, don't forget to check out the newest episode on the Listen In with Lili Invest podcast. It's where I walk Saul, a new wholesaler, through what's going wrong in his business and if the deal that he just put under contract is actually a good one. I'll put a link in the description and you can also click the screen right here. Thanks for watching.